And here's the secret. You are worthy, just as you are. Nothing needs to be done to fix you. You are absolutely lovable. You came onto this planet perfect as you already are. So duality is the way in which we see life, through black or white, through all the different lenses of right and wrong and good and bad. And, I started to really learn at a pretty young age that life just isn't in these two boxes, that everything really lies on the spectrum. But the reason why we have these two boxes to begin with is because they help section out one end of the spectrum and the other. But as we know, there is a lot of gray that exists in between. And so it's why you'll always hear me say, right, there's no good or bad or right or wrong. And it's very much just knowing that everything exists in this middle. And where that's a really important and takes a play is especially in the emotional realm. So I have the belief that all emotions are not good or bad, again, or right or wrong. They are just feedback for how you are experiencing something in the moment. Now, that doesn't mean that your emotion isn't teaching you something. Oh, heavens forbid. Your emotions, again, are telling you something. They are a little voice from your body that's saying, hey, when you're feeling angry, that's because you have come up against an edge of your boundaries and it feels like there's a perceived boundary violation happening. And so when you get angry, it's because you've either broken that boundary within yourself or you're having this perceived notion that somebody else is coming in and breaking that boundary with you. And so there is a way in which your body has that flare up and that fiery energy because it's saying, hold on, this doesn't feel good. And that is just, again, something that as you start to tune into your body, you can understand, what is this teaching me? What is this telling me? How do I want to respond to this anger? How do I get to show up in this instance with my anger? When you feel something like sadness, right? Where your body maybe tends to sink in a little bit more into yourself, or you can feel a collapse maybe in your shoulders, a protecting of your heart. There is more of a tenderness or an ache that exists there. There's this unknown quote that I really love that love, or sorry, grief is just sadness. Grief, excuse me. Huh. There is this quote that I love that says, grief is just love with no place to go. And so when you think about what sadness or grief can feel like to your body, it is that gap of a place where you want to pour love into and it doesn't even have a container to fill it. And so again, what is your body asking or saying of you in that moment? Shame. Love talking about shame. Everybody has a thing against shame. And really, that to me has just been a societal construed thing where we put a lot of shame on people to make them feel bad, to create control, to create regret. And here's the thing, I do believe that shame, even if it is one of the lower vibrational emotions, and again, when I say vibration, we do have emotions that exist lower on the scale of consciousness, and then emotions like joy and enlightenment that exist higher on the scale of consciousness. But just because something is higher and something is lower does not make it, again, good, bad, right, or wrong. We don't say up is good and down is bad. We don't say forward is good and backwards is bad. There's been a lot of connotation possibly around up and down and forward and back, but they're just as neutral as day and night. So take that off the plate. We're going to talk about shame. Okay. Shame is an opportunity for one to look at within themselves of what is coming up for me that I don't feel this sense of worthiness. And here's the secret. You are worthy, just as you are. Nothing needs to be done to fix you. You are absolutely lovable. You came onto this planet perfect as you already are. And whether you are feeling self-inflicted shame or you are feeling shame from within, again, it is just a knock knock check-in point. Some questions to ask yourself are, am I out of integrity with myself? Is there something that I came out of my word on something that I said I would do? Are you feeling a sense of imposter syndrome? Are you feeling a sense of, again, unworthiness in how you are showing up? Do you feel out of place? Do you feel a lack of acknowledgement for something that you've done? Do you not feel loved? And granted, love doesn't get to come from outside of you, it gets to come from within. And so shame is one of those greatest teachers I have found in fully reclaiming this sense of like wonderment and pride and love and care for ourselves. It's knowing, wow, if I can be on the opposite end of shame, I can fully see how incredibly unique and wonderful of a human being I actually am. And again, not from some egotistical place, but from you stepping into the highest version of yourself. And that actually exists in this duality plane, the opposite end of shame. And so think about it. The planet is running amok with a lot of shame, but really the opportunity here is to see what is on that trajectory, what is on that duality plane of stepping into the highest version of ourselves. If we stop giving all of the energy away to shame and started seeing what kind of enlightenment can come from that, what kind of revolutionary way of being can come from shame. Because let me tell you, shame flipped on its head is anti shame. It's creating a rebellion. It's saying, I'm not going to be shamed. I'm going to turn this powerful emotion, because let's face it, we all know how powerful shame is and what it can create. I'm going to take this powerful emotion and I'm going to alchemize it. And I'm going to utilize it to step into the greatest version of myself. I'm not going to just be in a rebellion. I'm going to be in a revolution for how I utilize this emotion, for how I show up, and who I am committed to becoming in creating the life that I want. Now, that, my friends, that is power. Stop utilizing shame as a way to be right or to sit high and mighty in your judgment. That is just your ego talking. And don't let anybody trying to shame you even create such a distressful, I'm not worthy, because that's you giving your power away. We don't do that around these parts. When you can see shame for what it is, as a power grab, as a control mechanism, you can relinquish that, create freedom in stepping into that way of being that you know you want to become, that you know you want to create for the trajectory of your life. And like I said, that ultimately will create less violence and less control, and allowing us to truly be in our femininity. I would love to know, what did you think of this video? Please comment below, what were your greatest takeaways? What is that golden nugget that sat with you that you are taking out and into the world? Because let's face it, transformation only occurs when you're willing to take action on it. So share below. That will ensure that you have really taken in this wisdom and you're going to amplify it in your life. And of course, if you loved this content, subscribe. And then you can always check your notifications so that you get all content that comes through. Because one of my greatest pleasures is to be able to see this energy being amplified and rippled into the world.